What's going on, my fellow inmates? Today we're going to be talking about registration and authentication. This is your host, Web Dev Journey, and I welcome you back to a brand new video. Now, to start things off, we will be needing to, enable authentication for our Firebase application. That kind of rhymes. That sounds pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, we do need to enable an authentication method so that way we can start using authentication in our application. So once you're signed into the Firebase console, into your actual application, go to authentication on the left hand side right here, and then you shouldn't see this. You should see like get started button. Just click on that. But if you do see this, just go right here in the sign in method. Now these are all the methods that you could use to authenticate with. Google, play games, Twitter, Facebook, all the basics, I guess you could say. But we're going to be using the basic of the basics, which is email and password. All right, so click on that, enable and save. So we don't have a form just yet. So what I'm going to be doing is creating a user right off the bat. So email, I hit my mic. Email is going to be, WDJ. Yeah, okay. WDJ@WDJ.com, and password is going to be password, yes. Add user, and there we go. We have a user in the system now. Now, before we go to our application and start coding some stuff up, I do have a template for the login page. I will have that in the description down below. But just in case, I do have all the templates right here in the wiki.
What's up? This your dude Game Over Skip. We got a new line dance for y'all. It's called the Wiki Line. Now y'all gonna need some water, but I want y'all to follow these simple instructions. It's easy. Y'all got this? Here we go. Here we go. Want to see you break it down like this.
The wiki of the video chat app. So all the templates are right here: home, login, navigation, and register. So just copy this login, copy this. Go to our application and then paste that sucker right in here. And don't worry, we are going to be I'm not going to be talking about this, but we're going to be adding some things right here. Control save this and let's see how that looks. Going back to the right here, refresh, hit the login, and there we go. We have our basic, nice looking, semi nice looking form, login form, right? Going back to the application now. Get rid of this. We don't need that no more. So there are some things that we do need to, add to this template. Now, first of all, obviously, when you submit a form, we want to stop that default, prevent that default from happening, which is a whole refresh of the page. We don't want that. So on this form, we're going to say at submit. We want to .prevent. This is going to prevent default, and we want a method to be called, which is a login method, which we haven't created yet. We are going to be creating it, but I'm just setting it up right now. So when they submit, we want to prevent default, and also when they submit, we want them to we want Vue to what's it called, fire this function, the login function. Okay, going down below, here's the error, just in case error does come back from Firebase. Maybe you misspelled the email or password, whatever. There is going to be an error. So I'm going to add a conditional right here, and I'm going to just say, hey, if there's an actual error, and error is going to be a variable that we're going to be creating later on, display this error. Going down, now these inputs, the email and the password, these are things that we do need to keep track of. Just like in React, we do need to keep track of these variables. So Vue does provide a v-model. There it is. And this is just basically saying that, hey, we're going to be binding this email variable we haven't created yet to this input. So whenever this input changes, this email is going to be, changing with that. So yeah, it's just like on change for React. There you go. We're going to be the same thing over here. Same thing right here, but this is going to be for the password variable. And that's pretty much it. Now we can get it into the, the script section of this part. So script, export. But before we get to that, we do need to import Firebase because we do need to talk to Firebase. So Firebase from the module Firebase. We installed this in the very beginning, I think. All right, so right here, this is where we're going to start adding those data, all those variables that we created upstairs. We're going to just add them right here. So data is going to be a function, and then we're going to return some data, which is going to be the email, which is going to be null, set for null right now. We also have, well, one more email. We also have the password, and then error. Looking good, looking good, looking good. All right, now we have all that data. I keep on hitting this mic. Hold up, let me just adjust it. There we go. I think, okay, that's better. All right, now that we have the data, we still need that login method or function that we have up here. So we do need to say, hey, view, we're going to start using methods, so get ready for that. And we're going to be using a method called the login method, which is going to be a function. And then this is where we're going to start talking to Firebase. What's up, Firebase, right? So this is where we're going to actually authenticate with the email and password that they're logging in with, right? So in order to do that, we should call firebase.auth. They have a method called auth. And in here, they have several methods on which way you want to authenticate with, right? So you could verify, there you go, verify password reset code, confirm password reset. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. Trust me, it's a lot. But the thing that we're looking for is sign in. There you go. Wait, sign in. There you go. You can sign in anonymously with credentials, custom token, phone number, email. But the thing that we want is that pop-up is going to be that Google pop-up, you know, that you always see when you sign in with Google, you know, create an account, whatever. But we want to sign in with email and password because this is the only method that we've enabled right now. And this does take in two parameters, which is the email and the password that the user typed in. So this dot email and then this dot password. This does provide us with a promise, so we could actually do a dot then, and then dot then. We're going to say, hey, if everything was successful, we're going to just route back router dot push. We're going to push them back to the home page. Since we only have two views, right? The home and login, we're going to push them back to the home page. Now, if there is an error, where's that then? Right here. If there is an error, what I want to do is just set this dot error to the error that we got back. And it does contain a message, so dot message. There you go. So we're going to be setting this error to the error message, that one we got back from Firebase. If anything goes wrong, right? If anything goes wrong. All right, so, okay, let's actually try this out. Let's go back to our application. And as you can see, that error went away. Let's try to do this. So what did I, WDJ at wdj.com. There we go. And our password, I know it's password, but I'm going to do pass. That's it. And I'm going to log in. We should get an error, which is right, because we have the incorrect user do not have a password, right? The password is invalid, or the user does not have a password. But anyways, password, let me just type in the correct password, and there we go. We hit enter and we signed in to our video chat application, which is really, really good. So we have that login functionality out of the way. Let's try to do a registration functionality, right? We also need to register just in case they're not logged in yet or never registered, right? So I do have a template for that as well. Go to register right here. Let's grab that registration. Copy all this. Copy. Going back to the application. Create a new view, a new file called register.view. And then paste that sucker right in there. And before I forget, I'm going to just add this to the router.index right here. Copy. Paste. And let me actually import that component first of all. Register. Oh, damn it. Register. Copy. Name, and then register. All right, control save, and let's see if it actually works. go over here, go to /register, and there it is. Okay, good. That actually happened pretty fast. I didn't see it. I was worried that it didn't work. But now we can see what's going on here. We have a display name, an email address, and password, and repeat password. Now this right here, this is optional. You don't have to have it, but I did want to show you that a way to, do this, where you would want 2 passwords and just confirming the passwords are the same, whatever, right? The display name, however, is something that we are going to be needing to add to the user. I will get into that once we get to that section. But basically, since we're using the method email and password, the only thing saved in the authentication when you're creating the user is literally the email and the password. There is no user or username associated with it. The username it is the email, basically, right? So we want a way to create that username for them if they want a username. All right, so let's go back to the code because you already know what's going on here. Let's go back to register. So we have this @submit prevent, and we have the method called register, the error if error. That's good. We also have v models placed in, so that way we keep track of the display name, the email, password, pass2, and also the button. That's good. That's all good. That's all good. All right. So down below, I already did this bit for you guys because this is pretty tiring. But after this, we do need to create methods. We need to tell Vue, hey, we're going to start using methods. And that method is called register, right? That's what it's called, right? I think that's what it's called. I forget. Yeah, register. All right. So right here, it's going to be a function. Did I already import Firebase? Okay, we're going to be talking to Firebase, which we already imported. So I'm going to start this off with if there is no error, I want you to register. So if there is no this dot error, we want to proceed on with registration. All right, so we're going to connect to Firebase and we're going to hit that auth, right? We're going to hit that auth method. And then in here, we actually have a way to, create a user. And that's literally create user with email and address. God, these names are super long. I'll give it to Google though. They're, they make sense, obviously, right? Create user with email and password, but Jesus, they are long. This does take 2 arguments or properties. What? Values? Arguments. It takes 2 arguments, which is this dot email and then this dot password. It doesn't really matter which one you use, pass1 or pass2, because remember, we are going to be validating that both of them are exactly the same. So it doesn't really matter. So I'm just use pass2. It doesn't really matter, like I said. This does give you a function or a promise back, sorry. So we could just say dot then. And this is going to give you a user back, okay? Now this is important, and the reason, and the reason why I say it's important is because remember, we still have this display name right now. This user only contains email, it contains the email and other sorts of information that we don't really care about. So what we want to do with this user is actually update this user to include this display name on there as well. And to do that, we just need to say return. We're going to say, I'm going to say user cred, so that way you know what I'm talking about. We're going to return user cred, and there's going to be a user, and on this user we want to do dot update profile. And it's pretty much straightforward from here. We want to update the profile with the display name, and that's going to be this dot display name. Basically, we just want to add a display name and giving it that display name, right? And then this right here, this user profile or update profile does give us a promise. So dot then, if everything goes well, what we want to do is just this dot route them back, router dot push, and I'm gonna just push them back to the home page once again, since we don't have anything else. Now, where's that first then? This first then, if there's an error with this first then, meaning that something went wrong with creating the user and password, we want to give them an error. So right here, I'm gonna just say error oops, right here, error, and I'm gonna just say this dot error is going to equal error dot message. And I forgot to add, where's that then? Okay, I forgot to add a comma right there. That's why it's giving me that error. There we go. Now, the last thing I want to do is actually make sure that the pass1 and pass2 are exactly the same, right? We don't have a way or a function that will determine this. So that's what we're going to be doing. And Vue does give us a property that we could add in the same level as methods. So right outside of methods, we're going to create a property called watch. And basically what this is for Vue, or in React's terms, is on change, right? So we're going to be watching the variable called pass2. This is basically what it is, right? We're going to be watching the variable pass2, and once this changes, we want this function to actually run every time pass2 changes, every keystroke, right, on the input pass2. And right here, this is where we're going to add that validation. So basically, I want to say that if both pass1 and pass2 do have something in there, meaning that they're not empty, if they do have something in there and they match, then go ahead and proceed. So the way I'm going to say this, you can do this however you want. Basically, I'm going to just say this dot pass1, or pass2. If this does not equal, remember, I don't want them to be empty, and this dot pass1 does not equal empty, and if they're both not empty, but what's it called, they don't match, so I'm gonna say this dot pass2 does not equal this dot pass1. So if they don't match, then there's going to be an error, right? So this dot error, if we're going to set that equal to, we're going to just provide our own message. Passwords must match, right? Else, we could just say this dot error. We're going to set that equal to null. All right. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's pretty simple, right? Vue is not that hard to work with. It really isn't. It's super simple, super simple. Let's give this a go, shall we? All right, so if I refresh this, let's actually register someone. If we register, we should be heading back to the home page. Display name, I already have one, WDJ Weeb. I'm not a weeb. I'm not a weeb. Okay, if anybody knows what that is, you know what I'm talking about. And the email is going to be wdjweeb@gmail.com. I'm just copy this because that's what we're going to be using. And password is going to be ASD123. Repeat password. There we go. See what I mean? ASD123, and there we go. It went away. Register, and we're back to the home page, which is really good. That means that everything worked, and we will make sure, and we refresh right here. There we go. wdjweeb@gmail.com, and boom, we have a user. Now, as you can see, we're still getting this WDJ from our very first user that we created. And that's because, remember, we still have that hard-coded inside of our application, hard-coded that user. So what we need to do back in app.vue, this is where it's at. This is where it's hard-coded. So what we need to do is actually use one of Firebase's methods to get this asynchronously, right? Whoever logged in, get that user asynchronously. And again, Firebase does a good job at making it super easy. So first thing I need to do is import Firebase, obviously. So Firebase from Firebase. There we go. And then down here, get rid of all of this because we're not doing that no more. And down below, we're going to say firebase.auth. And then auth does provide us with the method to get a auth change. So on auth state changed, meaning that this auth state change, this method basically tracks everything that is authenticated. So login, logging out, our registration, all that stuff. It keeps track of all that stuff. So if any of those changes, this will run automatically, right? So on auth state change, we are going to have a user being brought back to us. And if there is a user, so if there is a user, what we want to do is just set this dot user to the user that we got back. And that's pretty much it right there. Now, as I mentioned, this user, we do need to go back to our home page, I guess you could say, because we have this user. Now, if you leave user as is, it's going to give you a lot of information about that user. You know, their email, their display name, the one I've talked about. The only thing I want right here in the home is the display name. So user.display name. Copy this and then control save it. And then in the login, no wait, in navigation, right here as well. Dot display name. If we head on over to our browser now, we should, there you go, we should have that WDJ Weeb right there and then. And dude, I honestly forgot if we actually talked about that display name. So going back into the registration really quick, I think we did right here. I think we did. But anyways, real quick, the only way we're grabbing that display name is because the user entered it right here in this input, and then we're just updating that user profile to add that display name. That's why we have user.displayName now. I'm pretty sure I already talked about it. I'm pretty sure. All right, now that we have the user, we need a way to log out. Now we're logged in, but there's no way to log out. We got to get a way to log out. So right below the data, we're going to add another property called, methods. You already know. It's very easy, right? Make sure to add that comma right there. And we're going to call a method called log out. It's going to be a function, typical. And Firebase does give us an easy way to log out. I'm telling you, Firebase is really easy to work with. It really is. So firebase.auth. And that method is called sign out. It's literally just called sign out. And there it is down there, sign out. And this does give you a promise back. So I could say then, and we're going to be setting the user. So this dot user, we're going to set that to null. And also we're going to be, pushing them to the login page. So this dot router dot push, and let's just push them to the login page, right? So login, the login page right there. Control save. All right, let's try to. Oh, wait. What? We haven't even done the logout yet. We created the method, but we haven't even used it. I'm going so far ahead of myself. Now, the reason why I created this logout method right here in the app view, which is our main component, is because we could actually pass this function or this method down to the components that we needed to, right? So navigation, we could actually pass it in at logout is going to equal the method that we created, log out, and we could actually pass it in inside of React or router view. Oh my God. There we go. Now all of these components inside of navigation and router view have access to this function logout. So if you go back to, let's do home first, right? Well, actually home doesn't have a logout button, does it? So we're going to just do navigation first. Navigation right here. So let me actually create, let's clean this up a little bit, right? So in our navigation right here, we do need to have a register link. So register, and this is going to go to the register page. There we go. And then down below, we're going to create another one. It's not going to be a router link. It's actually just going to be a simple button, because this is going to be our logout button. So we don't need this no more. And I'm going to give it a couple of, bootstrap classes. So btn and then btn-link. There we go. And this is going to be log out. All right, so now we have this button that's log out. So we do need to call that function. So once they click on function, they're going to be calling that log out function. So at click, we want to emit that log out function. So log out. And let's actually clean it up a little bit more. So this login, we only want to display it if there is no user. Also this registration, if there is no user, log in or log out. And this login or register, and this logout button, this is only if there is an actual user. Okay. Matter of fact, let's just clean up the home while we're at it as well. So we have this. We're going to create another link right here since we do have that login. This is going to be, well, let me copy it. I'm not going to do this again. And copy. Paste. There we go. This is the register. Yes, sir. Register. And this is going to, okay. So also conditional. If there is no user, register. Also, if there's no user, log in. And let's make the buttons the same on both of these. Copy, paste. All right, so let's control save this and let's give this a go. Okay. All right, so we are logged in right now as WDJ Weeb. Let's actually log out and we should be pushed to the login page, which is really, really good. If I go to the home page, we get login and register, our navigation, login and register. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's actually log in one more time with WDJ Weeb ASD123. Log in. We go back to the home page. We don't have anything right here. That's good. We don't have no buttons. The only button we have is this logout, which is good. That's good. That's really, really good. All right. Now, before we actually end this video, I do want to tell you about something inside of the Firebase console. Let me refresh this. So, since we have this authentication, we have two users, right? But if you look at our Cloud Firestore, our database, we don't have those users. The only user that we have is that simple user that we created in the very beginning of the series, right? The only thing I wanted you to note is that just because we created a user using the authentication doesn't necessarily combine that or doesn't store that in the Cloud Firestore. It doesn't store that automatically in here, okay? I just want you to know that because you need to know that to understand what we're going to be doing in the next video, which is basically storing users in the database. So yeah, we're going to be manipulating some stuff in the database, you know, displaying data, adding user into the database, adding checking users into your rooms. I think we're going to start getting into that point where we're going to start creating rooms and all that stuff. So stay tuned for that, guys. I hope you liked the video. Thank you guys for watching my videos. I really do appreciate you spending your time watching my videos. Hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video where we're probably going to start, you know, creating rooms, dealing with user information and all that stuff. So stay tuned, guys, because it's going to get somewhat more, probably not exciting. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.